it from above, just an image on paper. That's right. And go ahead and take another minute and just finish putting your affirmation, your words, your thoughts on this paper. And if it's filling up, go ahead and turn it over with the magic of your mind. Just stamp it there. However this works for you. There's no right, no wrong. That's right. That's perfect. Now imagine in front of you a bowl, maybe a brass bowl, beautiful bowl with charcoal in it. And there's flames, little low flames, safe. And you can see the flicker of the orange and the red and the blue. That's right. And again, just imagine yourself taking that paper, those pictures, those books, whatever it is that has been created here. And I want you to place it in the fire and watch it burn. Watch it just set aflame. It's perfect. And as it burns, just watch it go to ash. And as it goes to ash, breathe, exhale. Watch the smoke go up. And as it goes up, know it's going away from you, far, far away. Watch as the flame starts to quiet down now. And it gets shorter and shorter. That's it. And just notice how the flame slowly becomes a flicker. That's right. And the flicker goes to ash. And as you look at the bowl, you notice that the moon's out. And it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time. That's right. Take those ashes and just dump them there on the ground. And all those old thoughts and challenges and things that were once so festered inside of you are now just burned up, released, and their ashes on the ground. And then watch as a beautiful, cooling rain comes. The rain comes down and it washes the ashes down into the earth. That's right. Watch what happens as the ashes go deep into the earth and the rain goes deeper down. Nice warm rain. And the rain clears and the rain stops. And as you look where those ashes were, you'll see beautiful, beautiful new green sprouts coming up. That's it. What once was so ugly and so painful is now so beautiful, rejuvenating, coming back strong and healthy, moving you into a time of health and healing and awareness like you've never had before. That's right. And as you open your eyes and just come back into the space you're in, notice how you feel. You feel lighter. You feel creative. This process will continue for the next probably 48, 72 hours. You'll dream. You'll have desires to write, paint, create. Things will come to you that you've been blocking. Happy things, good things that'll help you, brighten up your world. Perhaps you'll want to paint your walls a new color, change your style. That's right. Just remember if anything is out of balance in your world, you have the ability to change it. And I'm here for you. And I'll walk you, I'll guide you through, nutritional changes, herbal changes, regressions, hypnosis, communication, whatever it is that you're looking to go deeper into. I'm here for you. And you can contact me through A1R. You can contact me through Facebook at Full Circle Wellness or Renee Johnson. I would love you to reach out to me and let's work together. We have a retreat coming up here on the lake in October. And for those of you who are interested, it's going to be partly a silent retreat. There'll be healing work going on. There'll be some kayaking, just a really good time. And you can contact me at fchypnosis@gmail.com. That's it. fchypnosis@gmail.com. That's right. So, you guys, I just want to encourage you to do what's right for you, do the next right thing. As I always say, tomorrow morning, try to not jump up and put anything in your body other than perhaps nice room temperature lemon water, celery juice, cucumber juice, something to help your body, your liver keep detoxing because it starts about 3, 4 a.m. and you want to keep it going. This is more of what I can help you with if you, desire that. It's very crucial that we get our livers detoxed and cleaned up because that's what's stopping everything else from working right, regardless of, what you're being told or taught by social media or whatever. It's a very simple process to heal the body. And, we can do that just by simply waking up and honoring our body before we have coffee or, anything else. I suggest that you, if you're having health challenges, do your best to eat raw fruits, vegetables. They all have certain properties that heal you on levels that you can't even imagine. And the more I learn, the more astounded I am that we have it all. We really have it all. And we just need to research it, learn it, get some help. Call me, write me. Please write me and let's get you on board with this retreat in October and get out on the lake and meet some great people and do some really deep healing work. And also call me for a one-on-one. I've appreciated y'all's time tonight. It's been amazing. Thank you for allowing me to share, and please move forward and take this information to those you love and remind them how precious they are and that they're never alone and that there's lots of people, out there that care. We all care, and we just need to be there for one another. I'll have a beautiful night, a beautiful day, wherever you are. And just know I love you. Have a sweet, sweet time. Take care, guys.
You're listening to A1R Psychic Radio, Earth's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV and Lightning Television. Welcome. Time for the Psychic Side with John Capello. John Capello. Live from JohnCapello.com. Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/psychic radio. Or one of our websites, ask1radio.com or moonstruck.tv. This is the Psychic Side on A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
Hello, it's Tuesday, and that means it's time for the Psychic Side here on the A1R Psychic Radio Network, Moonstruck TV, Lightning TV, and a whole bunch of other places. You know, we're the #1 psychic radio network on Earth. And I'm your host on the Psychic Side. My name is John Capello, and I'm a psychic medium from Texas. And today we have a special treat because we have a guest. And our guest is Gail Tracy Mull. She is from Tyler, Texas. And I'm delighted to have her as my guest today because she is starting up a new psychic fair in Tyler, Texas. Now that's a big deal. So if you can see Gail, you can just wave to her. I'm going to wave to her. So it's good to have her here on our program. The fair is this Saturday, and it is, I believe, from 10 to 5 p.m. And it'll be at the Courtyard by Marriott in Tyler. So welcome, Gail, and we appreciate you being a part of our program today. And I'd like to get started off by just asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're starting up this fair. Do you mind doing that?
I do not mind doing that. And thank you for having me today. It's really nice to get to come and talk with you. Fellow Texans, I think sometimes people think that we don't do anything in Texas but cowboys and steaks, you know?
That's not too bad. Steaks especially.
Well, yeah, barbecue. But no, I have actually been a psychic in Tyler for, I think, about 20 years now. I've done readings for 30. And we've always done little events. I work with my daughter. She is the backbone of us getting to do fair. It takes both of us to get fair done. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and there's a lot of work to it. But we have done other events that were ancillary to other projects. For instance, we used to be part of the Paracon that George Jones did here, and we would do the psychic fair alongside of it. But people have asked for many, many years for us to have our own standalone event. And actually, we started this last August. So you're going to be here on our 1-year anniversary because John is coming to the next psychic fair. So really excited about that.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. But it is definitely a labor of love. It's something that people have encouraged me to do for a very long time. People out there in the wider world may not know it, but spiritual people have really had to work to become recognized in Texas. It's
well, when you say spiritual people, you mean you're non-Christian. You're pagan. Is that right?
Yes. Pagan, or and in a broader sense, I mean spiritual, as in we don't necessarily practice an organized religion. You know. We sort of fit into what I call the other category.
The other category, yeah. Yes. But you know, you have good morals, and you have ethics, and you all of those things which are important. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't recognize or want to recognize about people that proclaim to be witches and people that practice your faith, because because there's nothing that I see that is inappropriate or anything like that
No.
with what people who profane to be. Wouldn't you say it's all about intention?
It is definitely about intention, and it's also about letting people live and be the way that they are, and not judging anybody. We are very open to a wide variety of people, and John hasn't actually got to attend fair yet. This will be his first one, but we're a very diverse crowd. We're diverse in gender, we're diverse in race, we're diverse in spirituality, and we all come together once a month and we get along.
Yeah, that's good. Now, Gail, what you started this fair up last August, and you're kind of coming out of the pandemic. Has it been hard for you to kind of get on your feet after the pandemic, or is it growing every month, or what do you find
It has,
going on?
it's had its up and downs. Um, it took us a while to find our current location, and that old saying, location, location, location.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we have a really great group of people. I will give a shout out to the Courtyard by Marriott. If you're coming to Tyler, they are a wonderful group of people. They've been so helpful. Um, and it takes a while. It's like anything else. It's a grassroots thing. It's doing things like being on the psychic side today, and just a few more people out there know and hear about us. But
Hmm.
I really encourage people that they do hear about the psychic fair and other events. You know, I do not know how long people have told me they want this. So if they want
Hmm.
this, show up.
Yeah, they need to come. But we have a broad audience here, a worldwide audience actually. A lot of people may not know that Tyler is one of the richest per capita cities in the United States. I
It,
mean, it's got a lot of wealth, and old wealth there, old cattle families and oil families, and just a lot of people that are uh, really, I guess you'd call it old money. But what I wanted to ask you was about some of the other practitioners, some of the people that are coming. Can you just tell us a little bit about some of their specialties besides maybe tarot? Do you have other people that do other modalities?
Oh, we have all different sorts of things. We actually are set up. We have a reading room. I try and have about 8 different people doing readings for the month. Right now, that's our average. Uh, then I've also got a healer room. We've got different healing modalities that are going to be practiced. And
Hmm.
then we have a huge number of vendors, and we have all of our vendor spots full this month. Yay.
Very
So you
good.
can come and find the things that you can order things on the internet, but sometimes you want to touch the crystal. You want to
Hmm.
talk to
Hmm.
the person who makes a piece of art. You want to pick the brain of the person selling the tea or the herbs. You
Yeah, you want to know, you want to get involved with the people that are there, and get to know them and develop a relationship. And you can't do that necessarily when you're buying something over the internet, and so it's that human touch.
it is
So,
that human
so-
touch, and I think people have longed for that since COVID. I know
mhm.
that I have, just being able to actually experience people and experience community, because the fair is as much about building community as it is
Mhm.
about anything.
Mhm.
Especially in Texas, you tend to get to feeling that you're alone, that you're the only person. You
Well,
know,
you know, it's we have a lot of diversity here, but there is a lot of we're in the kind of the Bible Belt, and there can be some people that are judgmental of the work that we do, but once they get to know us, they realize that, hey, wait a minute, there's this isn't
and
this
that's
isn't bad.
yeah.
So
Well, our venue, they'll have people ask and they'll say, "Oh, aren't they weird?" And she will tell them, no, they're some of the nicest people that come to this hotel.
Hmm. Well,
You
that's
know,
good. Well, it sounds like, you got a good group of people there. I'm excited about coming. But,
yeah,
I know that this is not the only event that you sponsor. You sponsor another event that I believe is coming up a little bit later, and it's
yes,
called the Witches Ball. Is that right?
we are going to have the first East Texas Witches Ball,
Oh,
which
boy.
Witches Ball.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fancy. Now, do you have to get all dressed up for that or what?
Yes, they're going to be dressed up. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have readers, but we're also going to have ritual.
Oh, my. Do they
Yes.
fly in on their brooms or what?
No, actually, I am going to ask them. Although I am trying to get some people to come and do the broom dance. So
Oh,
I'm
I
excited
know
about. Yes, there's a dance. Um, they're dancers, but they dance
oh,
with the broom.
with
Yeah.
the broom.
Mhm. Yes, it's a thing. It actually originated over in Germany, but we've got local people here who do that. Um,
Hmm.
but no, the big deal about people getting to come to the Witches Ball is about non traditional, like we said, other people getting to celebrate the holiday.
Hmm. Now,
And
is this around Halloween or what?
no,
When
no,
is it?
we're actually going to do Yule. We're going to do a Yule
Oh,
Ball, which,
mm-hmm.
or the rest of the world is Christmas, but we call it
Oh, you call it Yule. Okay.
yes,
Oh, okay.
Yule
I'm
time.
learning new stuff all the time. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um,
But I'm really happy that you're just kind of broadening the base and doing some things different and enjoying yourself and then letting and taking kind of the mystery of who witches are or people who practice. Here.
Absolutely.
So
I tell
mhm.
people all the time that pagans don't make other pagans. Most pagans will tell you this is not the easiest path. You need to really think about it before you do it. Now,
Hmm.
who creates pagans is Christians. And it's Christians that are hypocritical and that don't live their truth. And by no means, not all Christians are that way. I mean, I
No,
know
of course
some
not. No.
wonderful Christians,
Mhm.
friends with a lot of wonderful Christians, love a lot of them, but there is all too many that do not exemplify the best of their faith. We're going to put it that way.
Well, and that's true with all faiths. I
Mhm.
I mean, it's just the way it is, and we all have to do better, and we all have to accept each other for who we are, and be good to one another. So, but what I was going to ask you is, what are you going to have me doing over there on Saturday?
Well, I am hoping that you come with this wonderful Aura camera that you've got. I am excited about you coming with the Aura camera and
I'll
doing
be there.
readings for people. We haven't had that, so I think people are going to be really excited about it. My daughter wants to bring my granddaughter, who's 2.
Oh, okay,
She
okay,
wants to
good,
take
good.
an Aura photo of her
Well,
and
I
tell
do
her what she
chakra
sees.
photos too,
Oh,
and so
chakra photo.
yeah,
Cool.
so we'll do chakra photos, and I'll be telling people about their chakras and everything. But after the fair, I think we're going to start at 5 o'clock. We're going to do a spirit gallery. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Uh, five. I think I may have put it down for 5:30. We have to
Oh,
shift
okay,
a
that's fine.
little bit after fair,
Yeah.
and you know, the only thing that I regret is John told me we could only have 20 seats, and I know
Really?
I. That's what you told me.
Yeah, that's. I want to do a good job. I want to be able to give everybody a meaningful reading if I can,
I'm
and if
going
we
to
have
tell
too
you
many
that at
more.
least half your seats are going to be gone before 10 o'clock. I
Oh,
know this.
okay. Okay. Well, good.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I don't know what we're gonna do because there's not enough of John to go around.
Oh. Well, I just have to come next month.
Yes, yes, you'll have to come back, and we're gonna have to figure this out. And people don't realize that whenever you do a gallery reading, and I know this because I have many friends that are mediums, it takes a lot out of the person.
It does. It really does.
So to
Mhm.
have more than 20 people in a room that they're doing a gallery read for is really taxing because we see 20 people in a room, but you see all of this different activity, and if each person has all these people that come for them, it's like there's a huge crowd in that room of 20 people. Am I
Yep.
right? Yeah.
I go to Walmart or I go to some places, public places, and I go, people don't realize that there's spirits just everywhere. And that just, and then you see things around people um, that
Mhm.
it's hard to be in crowds at times because there can be some negativity around them, or they could be going through stuff, and I pick it up, and I don't want to work when I'm going to
You
shopping
don't
or
want to
anything like
work at
that.
Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart, but the kind of work I do is different.
Yeah, yeah. And it is difficult. People don't understand that's part of going down this path. And I don't technically do mediumship, although I've studied a bit. Um, but I am psychic, I am empathic, and sometimes just being around all the people, um, in North America, we are not taught energy maintenance.
Hmm. No.
We throw our energy all over the place. And, I am actually also a teaching Reiki master and practitioner. I do EFT, I do a number of different healing modalities. So that's
Mhm,
one of the
mhm.
things I try and teach people a little bit. This is your bubble.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
bubble, my bubble.
yeah. Well, when you're a healer like that, you have to be careful too about giving too much of yourself. And because, that shows up on the chakras. I don't know if you knew that, but on the chakra photo, you'll see the heart chakra. And when the heart chakra is overactive, it gets very large. You'll see it in a photo. And actually, a lot of healers have heart issues, so they can have heart issues. And so healers have often got to learn to bring in that little heart chakra a little bit so that they can kind of protect themselves. So
Well,
it's
you got to
interesting.
balance it.
You got to have a balance
You got
with
to have
those chakras. Yeah.
yeah.
So you said your goal is to help people lead their highest and best life. So what do you mean by being able to do that? How would you have people get started with that?
Well, the thing of it is I think that you have to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Hmm.
Okay. How we learn and how we do is we lead by example. And so all of the different people that you meet at the East Texas Psychic Fair are teachers. They're there to help people. And I help people find their purposes, but also I help them find the people to take them further along their path. It may be me you're looking for, but it could just as easily be John Capella, or
Hmm.
we have Darlena Watson coming. She's going to teach human design, and
Oh,
what
okay.
your human design is and how you communicate with other people.
So is she going to be a speaker? So you have a speaker series there too?
We are working on developing a speaker series. It's sort of a new,
New
this
thing.
the
It's just
next
another element that you want to add.
another element. But she is going to be doing free human design readings. You need your birth time, your birthplace, and the date, of course, sort of like you do in astrology.
Hmm.
And then she'll be doing those for free. But later on at 3 o'clock, she is having a class for $25 on how the different human designs communicate with each other. And it's a little intro class so
Wow,
people
that's
can
pretty
learn a
cool.
little bit more. Yeah.
Mhm. Well,
But
Gail, do you have any books out, or do you have any publications that you've done?
I do not. Actually, my degree is in journalism. I've always wanted to write a
Huh.
book. I just haven't quite got there. I
Uh-huh.
I tell people all of the time, I am the busiest stay-at-home person you will ever meet, and I don't stay at home much. You would
Well,
think
very
the
good.
science
Well,
fair is one day a week,
but I
but
bet you got a
it
lot of
is a
planning.
month-long endeavor.
Hmm. So finally, what drives you to do this work? We only have a couple more minutes left, and so we'll just kind of have you wrap things up with that. So is this just the passion of yours, a love of yours, or what would you say?
I have always known things about people. I've done readings for 30 years myself.
Hmm.
And there is nothing like having somebody get their message. There's
Hmm.
nothing like knowing that you helped somebody. And sometimes I don't even realize it. It's just kind of what I do. And
Hmm.
then we will go on down the road, and I will have somebody walk up to me 5 years later and tell me, "Thank you. Thank you. I saw you speak, or I saw you do this, and it helped, and it just changed so many things." And I really kind of live for that. I live for
Yeah.
knowing that one of these days they will say that I made this world a better place by the things I do.
Yeah. Well, I've had that happen to me too. I'll have people I hadn't seen in 10 years come to me and say, you gave me a reading and I thought you were crazy. Of course, they were
Yeah.
right. But they said everything you came true. I didn't think it would, but it did. And so they come see me again. So it's hard to build a business every 10 years, but
Yeah, exactly.
but that's okay.
You know,
As long as we help people, that's right.
That's it.
So,
And this is not something that you do because you want to be rich and famous. It's not something that you do just because it's the easiest thing in the world. It is truly a call
mhm.
to do.
It is. It's something that I got into it kicking and screaming. I tell people, but it's where I'm supposed to be. So that's what I do. Well, Gail, thank you so much for being a part of our program today. We've got to wrap things up by letting people know that we do have a sponsor for our program. It's Miracles of Joy. Miracles of Joy is in Louisville, Texas, and they're kind enough to sponsor us every month. And they have an online store that you can purchase things, and you need to just use their promo code PSO223 and purchase things there online if you like. But if you want to do something in person, come to the East Texas Psychic Fair if you can't get to find something online. But also, be sure to like me on Facebook, and be sure to show up next week here on the psychic side. By the way, we're going to have another guest next week, and it's going to be Misty Wellman of Indigo Moons in Houston. So be sure to tune in for that. So thank you all very much for joining us today, and so long from the psychic side. Bye-bye.
Listening to A1R Psychic Radio, Earth's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV and Lightning Television. Welcome. Time for Amanda Hall Psychic with Amanda Hall. Live from AmandaHallPsychic.com.au. Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/psychic radio. Or one of our websites, askoneradio.com or moonstruck.tv. This is Amanda Hall Psych on A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic week wherever you are in this planet of ours. And look, I know there's always weather events going on somewhere and we all complain it's either too cold, too hot, too wet, too this, too that. But sometimes I think we just need to breathe and be pleased that we're alive and we're safe and we're well and that life is sort of marching on whether we want it to or not. But, you know, we do live in an amazing place. Wherever your location is, it's amazing. You know, for me here on the Gold Coast, surrounded by beautiful beaches and the beautiful hinterland and just, you know, perfect one day and absolutely perfect the next, I mean, I can't complain. But no matter where you are in this amazing planet of ours, your world will be perfect too. So this week we're going to go to the Simply Tarot card of the week, which is the Four of Cups. Now, this is a rather ambiguous sort of card because it is the card of money fluctuations. Usually it means the secondary meaning, which is being offered something that you may or may not want. And that's what you can see there is the man sitting under the tree. He's being offered something. He's got his arms folded and he's looking at the three cups on the ground in front of him and he's being offered the fourth one. You're saying, look, I'm not sure whether I really want this. Now, this can apply to any area of your life. It doesn't always have to be concerning money. Sometimes it is, and most of the issues that we have in our lives revolve around money in some sort of fashion, or emotions, or a combination of both. So it can be being offered something that you may or may not want. So be aware of that. Be aware that you don't always have to be quite as closed off as what he is sitting under the tree contemplating his future, that sometimes we need to just open our heart up and listen to what's being said before we sort of outrightly say no. Sometimes by a little bit of reflection and giving it a little bit more thought, we can actually see that the offer that's being made may be something that mightn't have been quite what we were expecting or what we wanted, but look, it's workable. So I think this is a card of asking you to be flexible. Don't just dismiss something because you don't understand it, or that's going to be your first automatic reply. Open your mind, open your heart, and give it a little bit of thought before you reject what's actually being offered. And it's interesting because a lot of people are changing jobs at the moment, I've found in the last week with my clients from around the world. I've been dealing with a lot of people that have got a little bit of itchy feet, as we call it here in Australia, and looking for new jobs. So that may be something that brings that card into being. Now, this week, astrologically, every week I say we have a big week, and we do seem to have some very big weeks astrologically. The sun's still in Leo, so it's that time of the year where we should all get out there and strut our stuff and be proud to be alive, and really not necessarily become bossy or shove our version of truth down someone else's throat, but it is the time when you can stand up and be proud to be counted and say, I'm who I am, and I like who I am, and I'm proud of who I've become. You don't necessarily have to like me, but I'm happy with me, and that's the important thing. And I think if we're all start to become happy with ourselves, the world would suddenly become a happier place. Instead of people coveting and wanting to be somebody that they're not, be comfortable in your own skin. That's what I see the Leo time of the year, of being proud of who you are and what you've achieved and what you've accomplished. We're not all going to go on to be the president of the USA, and we're not all going to be street sweepers. We're going to be somewhere in between those two margins, and be proud of who you are and what you've achieved in your life. So the sun's in Leo now for about another week. So let's enjoy it while the sun's there, and enjoy sort of getting out there and strutting our stuff and showing the world how proud we are of ourselves and everybody around us. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting at the moment in Leo. It's not sitting in Leo, I beg your pardon, it's sitting in Virgo. Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting in Virgo, and it is actually conjunct Mars. Now, what this means in layman's terms, Mercury is the planet of communication, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Mars is the planet of action. It's the planet that makes us get out of bed of a morning and decide to do something. It gives us that kick up the backside that we might need. So when we've got Mercury here conjuncting Mars, it's asking us to be extremely careful of any communication that we might be entering into at the moment, because we could sometimes be a little bit aggressive or be a little bit over the top in what we're expecting. Now, anytime we've got something sitting in the Virgo energy, and Mercury feels very comfortable in Virgo, it's very articulate, it's very matter of fact. The facts are the facts. There's no prettying it up or smooching over the top of it or sort of making it colourful. This is the cold, hard facts. It's black and white. It's there in black and white. You can't mistake it. You can't avoid it. You can't ignore looking at it. You need to really sort of understand what is being presented to you, particularly if it's in some form of communication, whether it be written, whether it's in a text message, an email, whether it's in a written document. Many times we tend to think of communication only being something that we verbally do, but communication comes in many forms, and particularly this day and age with all our electronic devices, we have many different ways of communicating. So make sure that your communication is very clear. It's to the point. There's no mistaking what's being said. Don't flower over the truth. Call it as it is. Make it very black or white. There shouldn't be many shades of grey in anything at the moment. It should be very clear and very easy to read and understand, so that then people can't turn around and say, I didn't understand what you meant by that. If it's written in plain, simple, easy to understand language, then we all should be able to understand it. So that's a very clear message for each and every one of the 12 signs this week. It's not just for Virgos, and it's not just for Capricorns and Tauruses and Pisces. It's for the 12 signs. Now, I want to be very clear on that because most of us will be entering into some form of negotiations or communication in this coming 7 days where we need to be very clear, very articulate, and we need to make sure that we've kept it in a not a dumbed down fashion, but in a fashion that is easily absorbed by the person that we're trying to have the conversation with or we are communicating with. We need to speak at their level or communicate at their level. We have Jupiter, the planet of opportunity and expansion and luck, is sitting in Taurus at the moment. Now, Jupiter is conjunct or holding hands the moon. The moon is conjunct or holding hands Uranus. Now, this is a really interesting configuration this week of transits when we've got Jupiter leading the charge, which I said is the planet of opportunity and expansion and bringing some, great joy in our lives. Now, Jupiter can also mean expanding waistlines. So just be a little bit careful here with it sitting in Taurus because Taurus is known to have a sweet tooth. So we need to be very careful that we're not going to just expand our waistlines just because we can, or that we think, oh, just have another piece of that chocolate cake. It was so nice. Maybe one might be just the suggested course of action there to stop at one and sort of say, well, I really enjoyed that and savor every moment of it. So Jupiter here conjunct the moon, which is only going to be for the next 48 hours, means that there's some emotional issues here that might be sort of seemingly jumping off the page. It's almost as if Jupiter is exaggerating or amplifying our emotions at the moment, and our emotions might be a little bit tricky here because we've got conjunct Uranus as well. Now, Uranus is like the Tower card in the tarot deck. It's the unusual, the unexpected. It can happen out of nowhere. Uranus delights in coming in and shaking things up and tipping things upside down and saying, well, you did say you wanted change. You didn't say, you weren't real clear on what sort of change you wanted. You just said you wanted change. So I created havoc and chaos. I thought that was the sort of change you were looking for. You said you were bored. So be very careful what you verbalize. Now, you also have to be very careful here that the changes that might be coming in your life that are due to emotional issues can sometimes be very fiery and outspoken. So we need to be very careful at how we conduct ourselves. If we are emotional about an issue, maybe sort of tone down our emotions, look at finding ways to come in on a more passive angle. Don't come in like the bull in the china shop, raging and roaring and ranting and raving and knocking everything flying on your way through. Make sure that you come in a more gentle approach. There's an age-old saying, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. And the same is to be said here for communication. You will catch more information and you will help more people and get better answers if you sort of come in on a more gentle approach. Now, I know we've already spoken about Mercury, but I also want to smirk about Mercury again because Mercury in Virgo is actually sitting opposition, which means it sits at opposite ends of the zodiac at the moment of Saturn, the planet of discipline. Now, Mercury is in Virgo. So this is going to really affect Virgos, Capricorns, and Tauruses, the opposite sign being Pisces. Now, when we talk about an opposition, it's at opposite ends of the zodiac. So we have Saturn, the planet of discipline, restriction, and stickability in the chart is sitting in Pisces. So this is going to be affecting Pisces, Cancers, and Scorpios, and the opposite sign of Virgo. So what it's asking for here is the communication is going to be tricky. It's going to be difficult because you've got Mercury on one hand wanting to be very articulate, very direct, very definite, very sort of this is how it is. Then it's opposing Saturn. Now, Saturn's not opposing the fact of you being articulate and being straightforward and direct, but what he's sort of saying, have you looked at everything squarely? Have you really done your due diligence? You're coming in here and you're picking a fight with me, or you're coming in here being bombastic and laying the law down with what you think is the truth. Have you done your homework? Have you done your research? Have you really read the article or the document or the letter that has been sent to you? Or are you just getting on your high horse and coming in here and sort of ranting and raving and carrying on and not really fully understanding what's being said? So be very, very careful in this next 7 days of communication, particularly for those signs that I've mentioned. But this also flows onto the remaining signs of the zodiac as well. We need to make sure for very, very clearly, if we need to have a conversation that's of great importance, whether it's written or verbal, that we all have facts. We have it very carefully documented in front of us that we can refer to it if it's very important. We need to make sure that we keep our emotions in check, and we do it in a very articulate, professional sort of manner. It's not the time to lose your temper or get cranky with somebody because they don't understand. If they don't understand, say to them, well, please share with me the part that you don't understand. Let me clarify it for you. Let me put it in another way, so that then we can actually sort of get some breakthroughs here in any form of communication. Some people may be dealing with official situations, whether they be government or legal. This will be the time to make sure that you really fully understand anything before you sign it, before you enter into any agreements, before you draw up any important documents, sign contracts, those sort of things. Make sure that everything is correct. If you happen to be purchasing something that's going to cost a lot of money, and anything over $500 is a lot of money in my book, make sure that you read the fine print. Make sure that all the facts and figures on the contract or the agreement are in their correct place. This is the time when mistakes can be made. I always have a rule when I'm going to sign something or I'm going to deal with something, I like to read it out aloud. I find that way that you pick up mistakes that you wouldn't if you're just scanning over it, you're just reading it with your eyes, where if you read it out aloud, all of a sudden you realize there's an extra zero there, or the calculation is wrong, or something is wrong, or the words are wrong. So that might be a good little plan to sort of put in your back pocket, particularly if you're signing anything this week. So we have Pluto, the planet of discovery and transformation, is in the last degree of Capricorn. He will be there till the early part of 2024. Pluto's had a very, very long reign here, well over 20 years, while he's been trying to transform the planet and the world on the last little bit now. So, this is why we're seeing so many things coming out into the woodwork, so many governments and things like that now using words like transparent and trying to sort of make some changes to climate change and trying to, get the world into a better place, hopefully. But we can all play a part in this. We can all do our little bit, whether you believe in climate change or not. We all do need to take some responsibility for the mess that we create and the amount of plastics that we use, and, whether we can do a little bit of recycling or, say, no, I don't want packaging to begin with. If we send a strong enough message to the manufacturers, they'll stop using packaging if we say we don't want it. So, there's plenty of little things we can do as mere humans. So we're going to talk with Trish in Hull in the UK. Are you there, Trish?
I am, yeah.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, Trish?
Hey, just a general, really. If you could, please.
Okay, it's easier for me, Trish, if you've got a question, because we only have such a limited amount of time here on the show to answer, the things that might be concerning you. So, are you looking for guidance on love or a new job or move house, or there must be something that the reasons you phoned into the show?
A bit of guidance, please.
Can you repeat that for me, sweetie?
A bit of guidance, please.
Okay. All right. Look, at the moment, I feel that there's been, it's sort of almost like somebody sitting on top of you at the moment, Trish. It's sort of like you feel as if everything's very restricted. Nothing's sort of moving forward the way that you would like them to move at the moment. But I do feel that change is around the corner. By the end of the month, you're going to start to feel as if everything's starting to ease up. You're starting to feel as if you've got more confidence in yourself, as if you're able to sort of start moving forward. Things that have been sort of holding you back or restricting you are coming to a close. Things are starting to sort of open up a lot more. They were showing me some changes around where you're living, Trish, and I didn't exactly want to say that as being a move of residence, but it's like you're moving things around or you're making changes in your life, which is going to bring things more to where you need them to be by the end of this year. It's sort of like you just even moving the couch is going to make a difference. It's sort of, even if you only moved it to hoover behind it, it's like I've shifted the energy in some ways. It's like almost everything feels very stuck around you at the moment, Trish, and it's like I want to move everything, even if it's only move it out and move it back again, to just sort of break that momentum, to shift that sort of energy around you. It's interesting because they're also sharing with me that you are really quite psychic in your own right. And I think that you sort of tend to sort of think, oh, that was just a lucky guess, or, well, that was good that I thought about that and it did happen. But you're not really giving yourself the credit for the fact that you are starting to tune into your higher self, that you are starting to listen to yourself more. And I want to start to see this become more of a reality with you, Trish, over the coming months. Because if your first thought about something is usually the right one, then let's go with it. We don't always have to understand why we've been given some information or why we've got a gut feeling about something, but we just need to acknowledge it and maybe write it down and refer back to it at a later stage and know that we were right, that it wasn't anything that we sort of dreamed up. It was something that was there, that was being shared with us, and it will become automatic. It'll become like, your morning routine of getting up, washing your face, brushing your teeth, and combing your hair. It will just become that automatic. They're also sort of sharing with me that this year has been a real sort out year, Trish. It's like I've gone through everything in my life, whether it be friends, family, clothing, whatever, and I've sort of discarded the things that are no longer suit the new Trish that I'm becoming. And it doesn't necessarily mean we've got to remove people from our lives. It may be that some people that were important in our lives are not so important now, and we're moving on and opening up to the potential of maybe bringing some new people into our lives, or really just focusing more on what Trish needs and not necessarily focusing on what everybody else needs around you. I think you've done your time of rescuing people, Trish. It's now time to rescue Trish. It's now time to put you at the number one position in your life and sort of see what the world's got to offer, because I think 2024 is going to be a year where we're going to gain a lot of rewards, but it's like we've got to slowly and methodically work towards that. And that's why I go back to just moving the furniture, even if it's to move it out, hoover behind it and put it back again. We need to move the energy, particularly in where you're living. It's almost like it's stale, and it's like I want to, here in Australia, we'd say we'd, do a good clearing with some smoke or some incense or some sage, and then open the windows up and let the fresh air in. It may not be appropriate for you to do that in your part of England at the moment. It might be too cold. But that's sort of literally what I want to do. I want to sort of get some freshness in there. I want to get some, clear out the stale and bring in the freshness. So I hope that's helped you, Trish, in England. We're going to talk now with Barbara in Albany in New York in the USA. Are you there, Barbara?
Hi, Amanda. Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question I can work with for you, please, Barbara?
I was wondering if you have a message from my guides.
Okay. Guides can be many different things. They mean many different things to many different people, Barbara. And my personal belief is that our spirit guides are usually people that we were connected to in this lifetime, or people that have a vested interest in guiding us and helping us and not telling us what to do, but sort of putting suggestions into our mind that we then have the right to say, yes, I'm going to act on that. I know I won't. So it's really interesting because we all work with our guides every single day, even though we may not acknowledge it or even know it or even sort of feel it, we are actually getting downloads of messages all the time. So when people ask me, have I got a message from my guides? It's really interesting because I want to say, well, you get them constantly. There's no one particular message or one particular guide's going to jump in and say, look, Barbara, I want you to do this or that or the other. They're constantly sharing things with you. That's where a lot of our thought patterns come from, our ideas come from, is coming directly from our guides, whoever we believe in. And everybody has a different interpretation of what their guides are. Some people believe it's a religious guide, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong with anything. Mm-hmm. What they are sharing with me, Barbara, is it's what, like, I want to fling the doors open. It's like I'm ready to sort of take on the world again. So if I'm taking from that maybe you had a little bit of time there where you closed yourself off to new opportunities, or sort of needed to feel as if you needed some downtime to yourself. Did that happen earlier this year?
Yes, it has. Yes, and I feel like now is the time I should be stepping out. Yes.
Yeah, and it's good. It's like I want to get the doors and fling them wide open and sort of say, I'm here, world, I'm ready. I'm ready for, whatever the new adventure is, and that's good. But I do think it was important that you did have that time where you not necessarily hibernated, but where you sort of brought everything back to a central point and you removed anything that was no longer necessary to you. And you started to sort of look at, well, okay, what do I really want to bring in? What changes do I want to bring into my life? What can I work on? What can I achieve easily? All those sort of questions were the things that went through your mind. And you started to slowly, work through the processes, and that's good. It's interesting because they're showing me a new job, and yet I didn't feel that was necessarily the next thing on the list of things to do.
Yes, it is true that I'm starting like a new job, a new venture. and I have a
Oh,
good
good.
feeling about it. Yes.
Oh, it's good because I feel very positive about it. I feel really excited about it for you.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I think it's something that you're going to grow into. It's sort of, like, yes, it's going to be overwhelming at the beginning, but once you sort of settle into it, it's like you can see so much potential there that there's a couple of different angles that you could go as far as promotion in time. So this is why I think it's so exciting. It's not just going into a job and sort of saying, well, okay, I've got to stay on this one career path. There'll be a couple of other opportunities that will come up in the next 2 years that you could see you could slightly deviate, and that could even be better too. So, has there been some changes around where you're living in the last few months as well?
Um, well, no, but yes, my husband and I are thinking about moving to Tennessee, buying a piece of land. So we've been talking about that and at trying to make the time to look at listings and land and things like that. So we
Okay.
are future planning here.
Yeah, well, that's good though, because you're sort of starting to look at what your needs are going to be in the future, aren't you? So, do you plan
Yes.
long term wise to move to Tennessee, or is this just something nice to have?
It would be a long term down the road. And again, it's something that we're looking to buy a piece of land when we move. It may be sooner than later. We don't know at this time, but we are planning on,
Mhm.
on eventually moving.
Yeah, I didn't feel the move was just yet. I'm not saying you won't purchase something, but I just didn't feel the move to there was just yet. It was sort of to me a longer range plan. It was something that
Yes.
yes, we'll get the land and then we're going to work out what we're going to do, whether we're going to build on it or what we're going to do. And to me, it was like a 10-year plan. It wasn't something that
Yes.
we were buying and moving immediately. This was sort of something that we were going to work towards. And you'll probably change your plans 50 times between now and what you eventually end up with, but that's okay. That's good because I
Yes.
think it's giving you and your husband something to focus on together as a couple. And I'm not saying the
Yes.
marriage was in trouble, but what I'm saying is you were so busy doing your stuff over here and he was so busy over here doing his stuff, and there was nothing in between together. And this is sort of like bringing you back together again. And I really feel that that's important. He's
Yes.
such a sweetie, but look, I think sometimes I don't think he speaks his mind enough. He sort of, if you said the sky was blue, he'd say, yes, darling, and he wouldn't disagree with you. Even if he saw a bit of pink in there, he'd say, oh, yes, darling, it's
Mhm.
definitely blue. But I want to
Mhm.
see him sort of get a bit more of a voice. And I'm not saying to oppose everything that you're saying, but I'd just like to see him have a little bit more input, and particularly with this land, because to me, he's going to be the one leading the charge with this. It's like you going along with him, not the other way around this time. And I
Okay.
feel that this is important. It's important for him. I don't know whether you believe in past lives or not, but I feel in a past life,
Yes.
your husband has actually lived in Tennessee before. And it's like a calling to come home. He'll be guided to where it is that you need to buy the land and what you're going to do. It's sort of like a past life thing that he's got to finish off, if I can put it that way. It's sort of like,
Okay.
people sort of talk about, being called home. You mightn't have been born there, but there's a place you go to and you walk on the ground and you feel, gee, this feels like home, and I've never been here before. It'll be that sort of feeling, and it'll be those sort of comments that he'll be making. And you sort of think to yourself, well, we haven't been here before. I don't know why that's coming into his
Mhm.
head, but it's really important because I don't know that he is what I'd term a spiritual sort of man. If you said to him, you get hunches, he'd look at you a bit strange. You know what I mean? Like, we don't talk about
Yes.
those sort of things. It's not something I can prove scientifically, so we dismiss that. So it's going to be
Mhm.
unusual for him to sort of walk on a piece of ground and say, gee, I feel like I'm home. Be scratching it.
Very good to
Something wrong
know.
with him today. He never usually use that
Mhm.
terminology, but you've got a bit of a heads up now that he'll be the one leading the charge. And look, I think it's a good move when you do eventually move. But for the next 8 to 10 years, you've got a busy life where you are, and making money and having fun and getting on with life, and it's good. But eventually, this to me will be more than a home in Tennessee. There's going to be a business attached to it. I don't know
Okay,
whether
great.
that was
Thank
the
you so
plan
much.
at the moment.
Yes. And so I should pretty much let him kind of take the lead with where we're picking the land and kind of just let him go with it, right?
Yeah, let him go with it. I mean, if you object to it, by all means speak up. But what I'm saying is I think you're going to be so impressed that how he's sort of finding his own path in life, his own passion, his own strength. You know what I mean? You haven't seen him this excited about something for a very, very long time. And it's like, well, I'm happy to stand back and let you do that, darling. You know, that's fine.
Okay,
you know,
cool.
like,
Great.
It's nice to see.
No, that's excellent. Yeah, because at first it
and
is
it's
a little
lovely.
overwhelming but yeah, I'll let him we're having fun with it, but I'll let him kind of lead the way, and that's absolutely fine with me.
That's wonderful, Barbara. Well, that's where we've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show. The show goes very quickly each week, I know, and you know, we get to talk to some amazing people around the world. And each week I like to leave you with a song. And I've mentioned many times on the show, I never know what sort of song I'm going to leave you with. Sometimes it might be something that's been going through my head for the last week, and sometimes it'll be just something instantly as I'm writing up the astrology report, putting my symbols on my board so that I can talk about it on the show. The song will come to me, and it doesn't always necessarily have to relate to something astrologically or something that's going on in the world. Sometimes it's just a song pops into my head and I think, well, that'll be a great song. And this week's one of those sort of songs. It was sort of like I had no idea what I was going to talk about or mention about, you know, as the song at the end of the show. And then this song popped into my head, which is a very, very old song. And a lot of people won't even know it. They'll know the singer, but they may not know the song. And it's off the Inner Vision album of Stevie Wonder's, and it's called Higher Ground. It's one of my favourite albums of all time. I absolutely adore Stevie Wonder. I think he has an amazing message to share with us no matter what he sings. And I've been a huge fan of his for a very, very, very long time, since I was a little girl. So I want to leave you with that song this week. It's called Higher Ground, and it's off the Inner Visions album. So until next week, bye for now.
The Psychic Side, live from JohnCapello.com.
Hi, I am psychic medium John Capello, and I want to ask you to join me every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Central Time, for my show, The Psychic Side. It is an informative show about developing your personal psychic abilities. I hope you will tune in here on the Ask One Radio, Psychic Radio Network, and Moonstruck TV.
Hello, good evening and welcome. My name is Wendy McCallum. I am a psychic medium from Surrey in the UK, originally from Kilmarnock in Ayrshire. So my dad for the last few weeks has given me some fun facts about Kilmarnock, and this week he was telling me about BMK carpets. So BMK made quality Axminster carpets that were shipped all over the world. They were used on the Titanic. They're in Turnberry Hotel, which I believe Donald Trump owns, and they've been used everywhere. Marks and Spencer's, BHS, massive big names. So there you go. That's your fun fact for this week. Thank you, Daddy. Good evening. Well, I suppose you've probably noticed the energy's been a bit strange this week. Have you noticed? Because I don't know about you, but I've been feeling a little bit out of sorts. I've actually been feeling a bit spaced out, a bit not with it, you know. And people will go, well, that's just you normally, Wendy, you know. But seriously, though, I don't know whether you've noticed that the energy is just